Welcome back to Marquette Now. I'm Amelia Jones, and this is Down to the Wire. I'm with Clara Janzen and Morgan Hughes this evening, and we will be discussing the recent incident of the sexual assault that happened on 19th and Kilbourne, as well as the court decision that was made on Monday. Thank you, ladies, for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
And for my first question, just want to talk a little bit about a lot of Marquette students shared the article on Facebook, but most of the posts particularly pertain to the use of the tasers by the Marquette Police Department. Why is the use of tasers even an important aspect to this story? Do you think that maybe it took away from like the actual crime of the sexual assault?
So I think that, the reason that we reported the taser thing is like that's what we heard of first. So actually Clara saw it on Snapchat, and so that was, weren't even totally aware of the sexual assault. And so we reported the taser thing just because that was more of the breaking news angle, and we didn't want to over-report something that we didn't have a lot of details on. So we followed up with the sexual assault, and we changed the headline after the breaking news when we put it in the paper to reflect the sexual assault. But at the time, we didn't want to report on something that we didn't know all the facts about.
Okay, that makes sense. And Morgan, this question is actually for you. It's about your opinions article that you wrote on the Marquette Police Department needing body cameras. Do you think that the actions of the officers, like what we just talked about, threatening to use tasers if people were not complying, would have happened, or would the incident have happened differently once the officers arrived if they were using body cameras?
So I don't know that it would have happened differently. Part of the reason that they have the tasers is because even the threat of using a taser is going to make somebody who's being aggressive stand down, or just like be less aggressive. So I don't know that it would have happened differently. There was a lot of speculation, though, just the night of and the following day. We talked to somebody who said that they thought that the taser was used, and the taser was never used. So had there been a body camera, it just would have helped kind of solidify MEPD's story, and it would have just decreased a lot of the confusion that happened right after that. And it's also just, it's more for MEPD, so then it builds transparency, but it's also just so they can defend their story, and because you don't want students to not trust the police department that's for the campus, and so I think that would just help with transparency.
Wonderful. And the Marquette Wire reported yesterday that the district attorney actually decided to pin the decision until November of this year. So despite this recommendation from the MEPD to press charges because of their amount of evidence, why do you guys think that the DA decided to pin this decision?
Well, I talked to the Captain Crayons of the MUPD, and he said it's not surprising that it's going to take longer for this, because in a case that's a sensitive matter, he said, she said situation, the district attorney wants to call in the witnesses, police, the accused, and the victim to talk to all of them themselves and wait for all evidence that they've been gathering to come in. So.
Awesome. And they're expecting, did Officer Krantz, did he say like they are expecting that this will be done by November?
Yes.
Okay. And this article actually was one of the most widely viewed articles from the Marquette Wire. It received over 6,000 page views. So congratulations to you guys for that. That's absolutely wonderful. Did you think that this story was going to have such an impact when you wrote it?
Honestly, when I saw the Snapchat story at first and I saw people saying, oh, a taser, whatever, I knew immediately that it would be a big story. And the fact that that ended up being completely separate from the incident with the sexual assault at the same house in the same night, first of all, exacerbated the situation there, but then made the story longer and more complicated, and that's why I think it got so many views.
Awesome. And are you guys going to be continually following up on this story with the Marquette Wire?
Yes, and I contacted the DA, and they will give me the official case number once they have it, and MUPD, Captain Crayons, I talked to him again, and he said the moment that the detectives get an answer about going back in, and when I find out that they're going to go back in and talk to the district attorney again, we'll update that.
And MUPD is working with you guys really well about giving you all the information that they can, because I know sexual assault cases are very sensitive in that they're not open records, obviously. Mm-hmm. But what is kind of like the process? Have they been very compliant, or is it difficult?
Yeah, they are very compliant, just because it is a very sensitive issue. yeah, they can't give us a whole lot of details because they want to protect the victim, obviously, which is like the #1 priority. But in instances of sexual assault, they report that on the daily log, and they're very compliant with us and giving us the information that they can.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Morgan and Clara, again for joining me tonight. And that is all we have for Down to the Wire, but we will see you next week on Marquette Now. Have a great week, Marquette.